It's Moon Pies with all things Florida with the top 8 reasons to go to Disney's Animal Kingdom. Number 8, the best counter service restaurants in all of Disney World. Now, Disney World in Florida gets a bad rap for their counter service restaurants. All the burgers tend to taste the same, the fries, the offerings are pretty much similar as you go from Hollywood Studios to Epcot to the Magic Kingdom as far as the counter service restaurant goes. That's not the case at Animal Kingdom. They have some pretty unique items available, and it's at the table service, not just the table service, the counter service restaurants too. So even though they have some pretty great table service restaurants, Tiffin's, which is one of the higher end restaurants in all of Disney World property, and you also have a Rainforest Cafe just outside, the Yak and Yeti, which is a pretty cool restaurant. You also have some great counter service choices, specifically the Satuli Canteen that opened at Pandora in 2017, where you have bowls with everything, topped with everything from sustainable fish to tofu, to chicken, to grilled beef, and of course a lot of other stuff. You also have the Harambe Market, where you get to sit right outside in the African section of the park and have stuff like a pork sausage on a naan bread, or maybe even a corn dog for your kids. And then there's the Yak and Yeti local cafes, which offers a lot of the same Asian specialties that they have at the main Yak and Yeti restaurant, but for a lot less and a lot faster, since you just pretty much go to the counter, get your food, and you can just sit in a nice little covered outdoor area. At number 7, we have a walkthrough animal exhibits. Now, when Animal Kingdom opened 20 years ago, it had problem attracting guests. A lot of people thought that it was just a very expensive zoo. So Animal Kingdom, actually, their very first marketing campaign was basically, they said, not a zoo, which is a one word which basically just said not a zoo. And really, it is mostly a zoo when you think about it, as far as the animal-based attractions. And there's some great places to interact with animals, at least check them out. Far better setting that you're probably getting in your local zoo. And the best thing about all these animal viewing areas is that there's no wait. It's mostly just walk-through areas, so you just walk in and just at your own pace. So if the park's ever really crowded, or you ever want to get away from the heat, most of these places are covered and shady. Even the outdoor areas have some fair amount of shade. It's a great place to get out. And you can go check out the Maharaja Jungle Trek, where you actually get some tigers, is the highlight of that. There's the Gorilla Falls Expedition Trails, which of course ends with gorillas. And then you can also take the train to Conservation Station. And at Rafiki's Planet Watch, there's Affection Section, which is actually a petting zoo. So you can actually just go in there, and no matter how, you don't have to be a kid, you can be a kid at heart. Adults, everyone, you can go in there and pet some animals, some of the smaller animals that they have there at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Number 6, Festival of the Lion King. Now, most people would rate this a lot higher because this is the hands-down best live show in Disney World property of all the 4 theme parks. And it's part Broadway, part Cirque du Soleil, but it's basically the Festival of the Lion King music, with some Lion King music. You have some gymnastics, some aerial stuff. You have some amazing big puppetry coming out. Depending on where you're sitting, you have some great views, and it's basically a theater in the round, so everywhere is pretty much a good area to see it. And it's an amazing show. And go catch the early show. The very first show is always the one that you can just walk right in. If not, you'll probably have to get there early or get a fast pass. Or maybe towards the end of the day, maybe the last show sometimes is not too busy, depending on what else is going on in the park. But definitely check it out. It is a Broadway caliber show. And since you're paying Broadway prices to get into the park, why not check that out? Number 5, it's an amazing place for your sweet tooth. And I don't mean just every place, every Disney place, every theme park has all the amazing ice creams, funnel cakes, all these decadent things. But Animal Kingdom, Disney's Animal Kingdom has some pretty unique sweet things. We're talking about lumpia, which is something that you've probably never heard of, but it's served over at the Pongu Pongu within the Pandora, the new Pandora area that opened in 2017. It's basically pineapple and cream cheese filled egg roll. Trust me, if you like pineapple, if you tolerate cream cheese, you will enjoy this decadent, which tastes a lot like a Latin American pastry, if you want to equate it to something. Then there's also Dole Whip. Now, Dole Whip has a legend, mostly from the Magic Kingdom, where you can get it over Adventureland. And, of course, there's the Dole Whip and the Dole Whip float. And you can also get it at the Polynesian Hotel at Disney World. This is the 3rd place you can get Dole Whip. And more importantly, unlike Magic Kingdom, the Disney World's Magic Kingdom that does not serve alcohol, at least as far as their counter service restaurants, at least not this one. Here you can get a Dole Whip with coconut rum or dark rum, but of course coconut rum will get you the more tropical view, and that's over at the Tamu Tamu Refreshments in the Africa section. And of course, we have my favorite of all the desserts is the blueberry cream cheese mousse. And again, it sounds weird when you think about it, and this is served over at the Satuli Canteen at Pandora in the Avatar section of the park. But it has a consistency of, let's say, like a key lime or a cheesecake, more like a key lime consistency, but it's the cream cheese of a cheesecake with like a blueberry texture and like a little mousse topping, a little cracky, a little soft shell topping, and a little white chocolate, little garnish. It's a passion fruit curd also. It's an amazing treat. I don't know, maybe it's just me. To me, it's my favorite dessert, and I'm including many of the sit-down restaurants too. And you can get this at a table. It's just a counter service restaurant. Just go in, you order it, and you're done. And if you have the My Disney Experience app, you can just order it on your app, and they'll tell you when your dessert's ready. You can just walk right up to the counter, just start digging in. Do it there in front of the people. They don't mind. They don't care. Number 4, Pandora, the world of Avatar. So if you're already in Avatar for checking out the blueberry cream cheese mousse, you have to check out Pandora. Now, Pandora has 2 rides, and obviously I'm going to get to one of them later. But one of them is a Navi River journey, where you actually board a boat, and it has this kind of like an earworm of a song that by the time you're done, you just can't get the song out of your head. And the cool thing about the Navi River journey is that the first time you ride on it, you're going to think, oh, okay, it's a very short boat ride, and wow, that's a pretty impressive animatronic Navi shaman at the end. But every time I've gone on it maybe about 8-9 times, every single time I notice something that I didn't before, because there's so many things happening to your left and to your right as you go over this simulated rainforest. Definitely a ride that you want to check out many times. And also, with just Pandora in general, it's a great place to check out. It is breathtaking by day. It is stunning by night when the fluorescent floors start lighting up and the trees. It's just a cool, weird setting. It doesn't feel like Disney World at all. And even by the daytime with the waterfall gushing and everything you see, amazing photos you can take there. But definitely a really cool, I'd say romantic experience at night. But you can obviously still take your kids. It's not that kind of romantic thing, but it's very, very un-Disney-like as far as how intimate it feels at night with just the darkness of it and just the glow of the floor and all around you. But all in all, it's just an amazing area, amazing expansion that opened in May of 2017. Number 3, Expedition Everest. Now, this is Disney's most thrilling coaster. And of course, right now, probably half of you are saying, no, it's Rock and Roller Coaster. Why? What do you have against Aerosmith? Well, let's put it this way. Well, Rock and Roller Coaster is the only coaster on Disney property that has loops, and there are people that love their loops. And for a thrill adrenaline ride, it's hard to beat Expedition Everest. It's the tallest, it's the fastest, and it has a Yeti that you meet not once, but twice. So it's pretty cool, and it has some amazing elements, and I don't want to give it all away, but let's just say that, if you encounter a broken track when you hit the top of the mountain, there's only one way down. So check it out, Expedition Everest. Again, it's a thrilling ride, and it has an element, some parts that are in darkness. It has one of the coolest elements at the end, right when you escape the Yeti. Yes, of course you get away. The very first cave is you fall into this air-conditioned cave where it's almost a little bit of a free-fall sensation in the dark, which is really a cool and understated element. My favorite element of the ride, and maybe I'm alone because other people love the drop and the backward area and all that stuff, but that's that. Number 2, Kilimanjaro Safari. Now, this is one of the original rides that opened, and actually of the top 4, it's actually the only one that opened with the park when it opened in 1998. This is basically, and you're hopping on an expedition safari ride, and they say you're going on a 2-week trip, but it actually winds up being about 15-20 minutes, and you actually see a lot of really cool animals, and we're talking about real animals here. You see real elephants, real hippopotamuses, real giraffes, and sometimes you see lions. Lions by nature hibernate, but if you can take a nighttime later in the day, a safari, they have nighttime safaris, take one of those, or a sunset right before the sun sets. You do that. Then the lions tend to be a little more active around then, and you can actually see them, not just the top of their heads as they're there, sleeping away. But most of the original storyline has been stripped away. There was a whole anti-poaching message, and they actually had an audio animatronic elephant, and it just was a very theatrical, conservative message. They sort of stripped that away because some people were offended by poaching, just the poaching element introduced, and they just got right back to the fact, let's just get people and let's show them the animals that they enjoy. And it's just an amazing way to experience animals, and more importantly, it's never the same ride twice. Every time you're on, you get an actual tour guide who's walking you through stuff, can answer questions for you. But of course, the animals are not programmed; they do what they do, and sometimes one will just lie in the road, and you'll be there for a couple minutes sometimes until the animal clears out, and then you just keep moving. So it's a very unique ride. And number 1. Flight of Passage. Now, this is a ride that opened in May of 2017 with the rest of Pandora, the World of Avatar. It is the best ride in Disney World. It is the best ride in Florida. It might even be the best ride in the U.S. I'm going to take out some of my favorite big thrill coasters at Cedar Point, but beyond that, it is the best ride in Florida. It's sort of Soarin' on steroids. You actually board on a Banshee and you fly, and it's a big screen. And if you look around, as in like look behind you and to your left and right, you can see other people. You see where the cubbies are moving around. But your platform, even though you're flat to the ground, the platform itself moves, and it's an amazing, huge projection, HD all around you, and you feel as if you're flying, as if you're falling, and you're gliding. And there's smells, good smells, not bad smells, as you explore the area. And it's an amazing, about a 4, 5, 6 minute ride, but definitely is the most popular ride. It is the longest ride you will wait at Disney World. Waits have been as long as 3-4 hours through the first year. And of course, if you go during peak season, that's probably what it'll be. So hit it up right with first thing you do if you get there before the park opens. The park will tend to open about a half an hour early. Get there for what they call rope drop. And hopefully get there on a day when it's not early entry for hotel guests, unless you're a Disney hotel guest, in which case you do want to get there earlier than that for that. But hit it first, or hit it towards the end of the day when people are just winding and just getting their way out of the park. It'll still be a long wait, but by then the rest of the park will be gone, so you won't really miss it as all the other attractions close. That's it. That's 8 things that you can enjoy in Disney's Animal Kingdom, the park that just turned 20 years old on April 22nd, 2018. An amazing 20 years, an amazing evolution for a park that has gone from being maybe a half-day park, a park that was just a little cult audience, to definitely one of Disney's best parts. And that's it. That is the top 8. See you next week. Bye.